Everybody ready? Come on, let's go.
The Rick Thorne Show!
Well, you gotta start with that.
Let's go! The Rick Thorne Show! Let's go!
Yo, what up? This is Rick Thorne. Welcome to my show. I'm happy to see you. I'm glad you're here. I got a really good friend of mine. Talented drummer, amazing dude. I love your energy. Yesod Williams. What's up, dude?
What's up,
From Pepper?
Brother Thorne?
Ah!
Like I was saying, reunited, and it feels so good. I love that I'm on the Rick Thorne Show these days, but back in the day, the Warped Tour was my own personal Rick Thorne Show.
Oh, that was my Pepper show.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was some great times, man. Those old school Warped Tour days, man. I miss it, but such good bricks to the path. You know?
I like how you started with that because I'm going to talk about that. Are you doing any Warped Tour dates this year?
No, we're not. We're just kind of didn't align with the schedule.
No, I get it. And it's different. Anyways,
Yeah.
you know?
It's more just a kind of like. Granted, they're doing a few cities. It's still kind of more that like 3-day festival vibe, kind of like all the festivals these days. And nothing wrong with that, of course. I'm
No.
so stoked to see everyone. It's so rad to see that poster again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And see a bunch of those old friends that we've done so many Warped Tours with and whatnot. So
Let me ask you something about big festivals.
Yeah.
And because I've never been able to play big ones like that yet, and I would love to. What's the difference? Do you like it because you can get more fans and more people exposed to your music? A bigger crowd obviously is cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But what's the difference between the smaller shows? Do you like them both or one better than?
Oh, there's massive place for both of them because it's great for turning on new fans. A lot of festivals will turn into real family events because a lot of your friends' bands will be on them. So when you're out on tour doing a club tour, theater tour, you're just with one or two other bands.
It's more intimate.
Yeah, it's more
Yeah.
intimate, and that has so much value because, like, just speaking of a fan myself, I love those intimate shows. Like, say, like Ween is my all-time favorite band.
I know.
And
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. I love Live and Die by Boognish, man. And going and seeing them at a smaller venue is my favorite, just because you get that energy exchange is that much closer. But I mean, I love it all, man.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful to be doing what we do.
You're
and
killing
to-
it. I always say on my head, and I'm the kind of, the dickhead in me. I'd be like, this fucking band, they're at this festival. They turn around, they shoot this photo with the crowd. They're not there for you.
Yeah.
They're waiting for Korn or Metallica. You know what I mean? Like, you're making it look like, hey, they showed up for us. No,
Yeah.
you were just like somebody knew somebody, and somehow you're a lame shit weasel in there.
And a key giveaway is if it's still light outside when they take that picture.
Yeah, they're like, look how cool we are. It's like, dude, they're like, can you get this shit off the stage? Where's Limp Bizkit at?
Sun's still up, man. Sun's still up. Get out of here.
Beat it, posers.
But that was actually, speaking of Warped Tour, that was the great thing about Warped Tour was the fact that there technically was no headliners because
No.
Lyman would get up every morning and make that schedule different every day. I remember Alien Ant Farm on 2003. They had signed up for the Warped Tour before the Michael Jackson song came out. So they were on the Maurice stage, which was the second stage, yet they were having a huge moment. But Lyman's like, you did the deal before it blew up, so that's just kind of the way it is. And they got kind of ornery about it, I remember, and started.
Oh, because they weren't, people were missing their set. is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
well, and just that they weren't on the main stage. They were like, we should be on the main stage. We have the biggest song in the world right now with their
But Michael Jackson
cover.
wrote it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the festival thing you were just talking about. But anyway, what happened, I remember, is the singer started, and with all due respect, the singer started putting like kind of sarcastic sayings on white shirts every day before they would go on
Oh,
stage.
wow, I didn't know this. Oh,
Yeah,
wow, okay.
and Lyman just ended up suspending him for a week.
Well,
it
what
was like-
what did they say on the shirts? Like fuck the tour or something?
Not that bad, but like side stage or like side stage band or like just stuff like that. Kind of just making like kind of snarky little comments on the.
How about
on the
popular
shirt.
because you did a cover song?
Yeah.
Oh, is
and
that?
then-
Oh,
and then-
someone's. Did
and
I just
then-
make enemies?
And then just to the fact of there's no headliners, Lyman was like, well, how about you guys just take a week off and then come back? So that was one of the great. I loved Warped Tour so much, and just like especially those old days when you had like the powers that be, like your Fletchers and like all the keeping people in line. It's like it's similar to we were just talking about surfing. It's similar to the surf lineups these days where they're so overblown. There's not as much like regulators in like especially growing up in Hawaii back in the day. You had like Like out at Banyans, you had this guy Boomer that was the ultimate regulator. That you would have the fear of God when you would see.
When you say
Boomer.
regulars, like, yo, Holmes, you can't surf these waves. You're in our way.
Yeah.
You need to go get better before you come around here. Or don't come around here.
Yeah,
right?
or go inside and pay your dues for maybe some years, and then you can come out to the peak.
It's still. Do you think
thing.
it's still like that or no?
No, it's not. It's just there's just too much surfers. There's like these foam surfboards have done a lot with basically explode the COVID, and the soft top surfboards have just exploded the surf, which is great.
Okay, so let me say, because the foam boards are cheaper and people could afford them more?
They sell them at Costco.
Oh, I see.
For $100,
Oh, wow. So they're cheap like that.
Yeah, and then like with COVID too, and surfing just becomes so popular that everyone and their mothers like.
Do you think the internet had something to do with it?
And the internet, social media, and Surfline, everything. Which, like I said, the more people, it's kind of like with drums. It's like the more drummers in this world, the better. The more surfers in this world, the better. But there needs to be protocol.
Yeah.
And you need to realize that I even hear it from my friends on the North Shore. Like, there's people that don't even know how to surf that paddle out to pipe, or their parents that want them to be pro surfers. We'll push them
like
out.
that. They're like that at that sport
Yes,
too.
we'll push them out at pipe.
Wow.
And like my friends that have grown up on the North Shore are like, dude, this is so dangerous. Like, not just to them, but to everyone that's out here. So it's just become real overblown. And it's like, it's kind of very similar to the way kind of Warped Tour became when you didn't really have as much regulation, and there was like less and less of like those stories of people kind of just keeping everything in line.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Too.
No, I think so. Well, because Warped Tour was always like, you're traveling together, you're not really leaving the parking lot, and you're hanging out till like 2 a.m. or 12 or whenever bus call is. So everybody kind of knows everybody.
Yeah.
And then so you just start to kind of look at you. So if someone's like, a douchebag, then someone's going to be like, yo, we need to check this dude.
Yeah.
And you still had that.
Yeah.
Now it's like, obviously it's like because the 3-day festival, sometimes I feel like they're like, and I'm not shitting on them because they're cool. I'd like to be part of some if I could.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like they're cash grabs too, because how can you fucking see all those bands in one day?
Yeah, I know. That's the tough
You know what I
thing.
mean? I mean, Warped Tour used to be that way, but now it's like 3 times as many.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you even see them all?
Well, also,
Like, they did No Values here not too long ago, and I was like, you can't see all these bands. You got to pick between, like, do I want to see Danzig or do I want to see, the Adolescents?
Yeah.
Like, they're playing at the same time.
and also to give Warped Tour more credit, Warped Tour used to be like $20.
Oh, yeah, Warped Tour is the shit.
So like
I did 15 years of that tour, by the way, out of the 30. Well, actually, it's not 30. It was 25, and then it stopped, but it hasn't gone for 5.
Yeah.
So it's the 30th anniversary, but there wasn't 5. The last 5 years, there was nothing.
Right, because 2017 was the last.
No, 19.
19 was
I almost
last
died
year.
on that one.
No shit.
No, I'll tell you real quick, everybody listening. I fell, I vaped at the time.
Uh-huh.
I had a vape sponsor, which was crazy.
Yeah.
I always felt like smoking and vaping opened up my lungs for me to breathe because I had asthma. I know
Nice.
it sounds stupid,
Yeah.
but I did. And
Yeah.
so then I started vaping, which I don't anymore, and here's why. I fell and ruptured my lung, and I thought I broke a rib, and turns out I broke 7 ribs, my clavicle, my T2 vertebrae, and I had 2 liters of blood in my lung.
Oh.
And I went a whole day sleeping, sitting up, like that, and I was going to fly home. I went back to tour. I got an Uber to tour. Everyone left. I said, I can't ride.
Yeah.
And Lyman's like, hey, you need to go to the hospital because I told him I couldn't breathe. And I thought I just had broke a rib at that point still.
Yeah.
And I blame it on the vaping stuff.
Yeah.
So that was the last year they did that. That's why I
Nice.
brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2019. So, yeah, anyways, back to what we were saying, regulating the Warped Tour.
Yeah.
And being like, it's definitely lost that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you could almost put that as an analogy for life in general. It's just like things have gotten pretty like just overblown with like entitlement, and I think that comes with like social media and there's just so many. There's a lot of positive to it, but there's so many branches of that tree that are misdirected, I guess.
Do you think it's because it's the same with bikes, it's the same with skating, it's the same with music or acting and all kinds of stuff. Like internet changed things, or like, but people realize that like, oh well, I don't need to know to live in this one area or know these certain people to do this stuff.
Yeah.
Things are more accessible.
Yeah.
And like you said, do you think that with the kids, getting their kids out there because they can make a living at it and a career at it now?
Yeah.
Because back in the day, you just did it.
Yeah. Well, but it's such
You know what I mean? Do you think that's why they're that way?
It's such like a, I think so, yes. Because it's such a misguided thing where kids nowadays, I think, I hear, because like I said, my kid's almost 2, so we haven't gotten there yet with them, but so many kids that'll be like, oh, I want to be an influencer or I want to be a content creator or something like that, which that's also a very interesting term nowadays because it's almost like you could, and I don't condone this at all, but it's almost like nowadays you can call musicians content creators because you don't only have to make the musical content, but you've got to make all this social content as well, which if it was all said and done and I had a choice, I would say get rid of social media. Never invent social media. And I think we would be, because we've been a band since '97. So I used to love the days.
And just so you know, everybody's band, if you don't know, is Pepper.
Yeah,
Yes,
Pepper
yeah.
from Kailua Kona, Hawaii.
Yes.
The three of us, we grew up together and we started a band in '97 and we moved to San Diego in '99 and the rest was
History.
Yeah. Warped Tour, all amazing, very amazing path that I'm very grateful for. But yeah, I used to love the days when you would make a record and you would print up CDs and you would send out press releases and you would kind of like go on tour and then you would just push the rock up the hill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just, it was, I mean, not that it's like so overcomplicated nowadays. It's kind of the same, but there's just a million rocks to push up the hill now.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think it's more competitive too.
It's more competitive and it's more like finding the needle in the haystack now.
Yeah.
Because everyone with the laptop can make a record and upload it with to any of the DSPs, Spotify, and everything. So,
is there any names left for bands that exist that are cool? Or are they all taken?
No, there's got to be more, man. There's got to be more. Because it's one. I have this conversation with some people where you think about bands' names that if they never became the band, would their name be cool? Like the Beatles. I don't think the Beatles would be a cool name if they weren't the Beatles.
Yeah, and they came out with those bowl cuts. They look like Beatles.
Yeah, and
so
if they were just
like, these guys,
if they never blew up and it was just like this like underground band from England that like forever stayed underground, you'd be like, yeah, it's that band with that kind of weird lame name, right? Whereas Metallica, even if they never became Metallica, you'd still be, that's a sick name.
It's sick name. Well, it's almost kind of like if Phil Collins wasn't bald, he wouldn't have been as good.
Oh, wow. Respect to the bald man.
Dun, 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 dun,
yeah.
dun, dun.
His,
King of the breakdown right there. That's the best breakdown ever.
Big time. And actually, that's part of my drum solo that I've been doing this year.
Bullshit.
I swear.
How good is that one? It's timeless.
Yeah, it's so timeless. And his, Phil Collins' son, Nick Collins, is an absolute hammer, too. I don't know if you've caught wind of his drumming. He plays for Genesis. He plays for...
His dad still does Genesis?
No, dude. Unfortunately, Phil can't even play anymore. He's like his just like motor skills with how old he is and like.
Got it.
Yeah, he can't.
He was a beast though back in the day.
Oh yeah, and him and Bonham were like really good friends. Like he was one of Bonham's favorites. Bonham was one of his favorites. Like, but that's
so he doesn't play at all.
No, I don't.
So then who sings it for Genesis?
I think Peter Gabriel.
Oh, he still does.
Yeah.
Oh, he did for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, didn't Phil Collins sing in Genesis before?
I think so. I think after the Peter Gabriel era.
And then Peter came back.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Peter's the Shock the Monkey guy. Yeah.
Yes.
Shock the Monkey. Dun 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 dun.
Sledgehammer.
But he didn't do Shock the Monkey?
Who shocked the monkey?
Google it. No, he did.
Okay.
Shock the monkey. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
Think about back in those days of the music industry.
See, Shock the Monkey.
Nice. But those days of the music industry, there wasn't the barrier to entry was way harder. So you only got cream that was rising to the top.
Yeah.
Because there was this like big process of going into a studio, getting the budgets, and being even able to record an album was an absolute task back then.
Yeah.
And so I just think that higher barrier for entry equated to more quality product.
I could agree with you. But on the flip side of that, I could say that if you didn't, I was born a long time ago. I'm a dinosaur. And if you were in an area like California dreaming, before the internet, like I think even the California lifestyle has kind of been somewhat diluted because of the internet.
Yeah.
Because it's not the only like cool thing in the world people see anymore.
Yeah.
Me as a kid, I'm like California, right? And I love it here, don't get me wrong. But it's like if you didn't live in the area and didn't know the people and then live in the area, meet the right people and they vibed with you, doesn't mean that you're not good. It means you could get discouraged and want to quit. So there might have been like a shitload of other people in the world that might have been good, but they just weren't in the right area.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So
And
like the
that's-
internet kind of opened up to say, well, look at this shit. This dude's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Or this girl's awesome or whatever it is. But back then you couldn't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
no,
so
totally. Like back then was the epitome of like, what's that saying about
seek and destroy, bro.
preparation meeting luck is what equates to success, or success, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, that thing would happen, but the common thread between now and then is
No, I agree with you though with that. Yeah,
yeah. You still got to be quality though.
Yeah,
you still got to be coming with quality, and otherwise, back then you wouldn't even be seen, and now it's the same thing, but it's just because you're getting lost in the haystack. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So to get out of that haystack, you need to be coming with quality, and you need to meet that luck moment of meeting the right people.
Yeah.
Whatever that.
Yeah, but you can't be a kook, bro. Like
Yeah.
you can't like record something and then not be able to play it live.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, dude, come on, bro. Like, what are you
Totally.
doing? Like, you want to sound like your record when you play live.
Which is another thing about these days, which like with technology is, and to each their own, but it's just not our vibe, is everyone plays to tracks nowadays,
Yeah.
which is like that's like I said, to each their own.
Yeah.
It's just, I think like coming from the era we come from, and even though we're a reggae rock band, we really kind of rest our basis for our band and the ethos of our band in the punk rock and rock world. You know what I mean? That's why when I just went and did those the Punk Rock Museum hosting those guided tours,
Sick.
and that's what I would tell everyone is I'd be like, I know some of you might be confused that a drummer for a reggae rock band is at the Punk Rock Museum hosting tours, but you got to realize the cross section of reggae and punk rock is very valid and very potent. And then we would get to places like The Clash, and I'd be like, here's a huge cross section of reggae and
Yeah.
punk
Oh,
rock.
100%.
And just the ethos of both of those music are pretty much exactly the same. The rebellion of it, the doing what you want, and the whole like just independence of it all. You know what I mean? That whole the swan song or the rally cry of both those musics are very synonymous. So yeah, it was really rad to kind of.
But it was cool though, right? They were stoked, right?
And it was rad to kind of point out, and then you'd go further. You'd have Bad Brains, Rancid. Like, there's just so many examples of this cross section. Even getting out of the punk rock world, even though they did kind of start in the punk rock world as the Police too. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, they were. I always grew up saying that they were punk. They started punk.
yeah, they totally
know?
they totally did.
Yeah.
yeah. But then they just turned into this mass. I mean, Sting just obviously wrote some of these, one of the greatest songwriters of our time.
But that one song's about a stalker.
Yeah, Every Breath You Take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do a sing along series and I did that song. I'm like, listen to these lyrics.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's psycho. Ah, run.
Yeah, totally.
Sting.
Yeah, and obviously Stuart Copeland, one of the greatest drummers of all time. You know, he did all that stuff just like on a whim. He didn't plan out any of his like drum parts for.
Wow.
He was like, and he says even when he plays them live, he's like, I don't play one song the same way twice ever. It's always
Whoa.
he's always just kind of doing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, but I want to ask you about the drummers you like and stuff, but I do want to say this about Pepper. You guys are the kind of band that doesn't sound the same as these bands, but reminds me of them, like a Cypress Hill. They could play all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Suicidal Tendencies. They could play all different types of venues.
Yeah.
The same with Body Count.
Yeah.
Body Count could be like a rock, a metal, a rap, and this, that. So it's good to be a band to where like you have so many influences that can attract different audiences because you want everyone to enjoy your music, you know?
Yeah.
And I just think that Pepper's a lot like that. Like you could hold your own at a reggae fest, you could hold your own at a rock fest, you could hold your own at a punk fest.
Yeah.
So it's you've been able to have like your own sound, which is hard to do for a lot of bands.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of attribute it to the fact that being from Hawaii, growing up in Kona, Hawaii is such a melting pot as it is. Yeah, reggae is probably the predominantly most popular music there, but it's such a melting pot of everything, food, culture, just culture in general. So I think that's kind of where our band has many branches to the tree. It's just an extension of where we're from. And I'm so thankful for it because we find ourselves like it was like 2012, we found ourselves on the Nebworth Festival with Metallica headlining and Alice in Chains. So it's like us being like, we grew up as like thrash metal kids was our first love. and then we kind of got into like hip hop, and then we got into reggae, and then
That's what I mean, though. You're able to play that festival
Yeah.
and pull it off.
but
and I'd be like, what is this? We didn't come for this. You know what I mean?
Dude, totally. And it's like it's so rad to be able to kind of like delve into the different areas, because we have songs like a No Control or something from our No Shame record that is a full blown rock song. So it's like, you know, you can kind of just whatever we need to appeal to.
You could bring it, and you got the personality and the vibe. It's a lot the vibe. I read something though that said it was Motley Crue and Justice for All.
Yeah.
Maybe you saw those shows or something.
Yeah.
Your mom, because your mom used to book shows, right?
Yeah. So
and that's what changed you to be a drummer or a musician.
1,000%. Like
Wow.
Lars is my guy, man. Like he gets a lot of hate these days, but it's
Why do people hate on him? Are they comparing him to like the guitar riffs? Like, why do they hate on him so much?
I think there was
not everybody, but I hear it too.
But you get it. You'll
I hear
see it online.
Yeah.
Again, the internet. You'll see it, and I mean,
well, the internet's
he's not Neil Peart, but he doesn't need to be. And the fact that he's written some of the most legendary drum parts of all time. Granted, it was him and James going back and forth and writing all those drum parts for all those early Metallica records. But there's also been a couple famous videos of some pretty big flubs in Metallica shows for live. But I mean, everyone flubs here and there.
If that's the case, I wouldn't even be sitting here.
Yeah,
if they saw my flubs.
Amen. But I think the main reason is because when you're on top, like Metallica is, you're gonna get a lot of people hating on you, and that's just kind of inevitable, you know. So, but yeah. So
Justice for All was a shit.
Justice for All, because, like you said, so my mom, she worked for the biggest promoter in Hawaii back in the '80s, Ken Rosine and Tom Moffat. So she would be flying from Kona over to Honolulu, like, I don't know, a few times a month to do shows, mainly at the Blaisdell Arena, which is still an active arena in Honolulu.
And that was the big one at the time.
Yeah, big one. It held like 8,000 people. But still the biggest.
For Honolulu at that time, that was probably pretty big.
Yeah, still the biggest venue that you could play over there, besides Aloha Stadium. But that was kind of like I don't know, they would do shows there once in a while, and they wouldn't. But nonetheless, my mom took me over to see Metallica on the Justice for All tour.
Sick.
And I got to meet all the guys. I got to meet Lars. It was one of the most amazing, like, mind.
Was it like 89 or something?
Yeah, I think it was 89.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
but the thing that really blew my mind, and I think was the kind of impetus behind me becoming a drummer, and behind me having this crazy, irrational pursuit of passion, is that I realized that these are just normal people. When I met Lars and I met James and I met Kirk and I met Jason, I was like, holy, and I remember being taken aback by it. I was like, holy shit, these aren't these like superhuman people on stage. They're just like, and then meeting Lars too, and he was like, he's not that tall of a guy.
Yeah.
He was like almost like my height at the time. I was like, holy shit, these people are totally normal, just like me. And I think that kind of did something to my brain of, you know, when we started the band, and then when we said, oh, we should move to Sublime Stand By Your Van had just came out, and we were like, oh, so okay, buying a van and doing as many shows as you can, that kind of so let's maybe try to move to the mainland and see if we can pull
this
something
is after
off.
you started Pepper.
Yeah, this was in, so we started in 97.
Yeah, tell me how you started. Tell me, how did you start?
So
I want to comment on what you said, though. They are just people.
Yeah.
And when you put the fame and the lifestyle that you think someone lives,
Yeah.
or this thing that you think somebody is aside, and you really sit down and you're like, oh, because I'm the same way. You meet someone and you're like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just a dude.
Yeah.
You know, but not a lot of people get to meet maybe someone they admire, they think is famous, they don't know that feeling. And then after a while, you're just like, oh, these are just people that are talented. You respect them, but you don't like,
Totally.
you know, you just kind of go, well, they could do it, I could do it.
And before,
Right? You kind of go, well, I could do this shit too.
But before you break down that fourth wall, it seems super unattainable, especially when you're dealing with huge rock stars.
Of course.
Where, like, that's what's so beautiful about the punk rock scene. And like we were talking about Warped Tour.
Warped Tour
was, it kind of brought everyone to that human element. You know what I mean? There wasn't this like crazy, like larger than life kind of vibe. And then, so wait, one last story though about the Metallica show, and God bless Lars. So my mom brought my best friend to, at the time, Obi, still one of my best friends. And so we were there backstage, like, oh my God. And we met Lars, and these two full-blown, leather-clad, lace-wearing groupies rolled up right as we were talking to Lars. And, oh, Lars, will you sign my boob? And she pulled her top down a little bit, and Lars looked at us, looked at her, looked back at us, and said, I'm going to need a little more room there. Can you just move that a little further over? So she fully exposed her boob. Lars looked down at me and my buddy Obi, and it was actually me, my buddy Obi, and my buddy Ty. There was 2 friends that came with me. Looked at us, gave us the wink, and then continued to sign it. So we were like,
But how old were you?
We were like 12 years old.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I was like, yeah.
You're like, I want to fucking play drums.
We were like
with
11 or
this guy.
8. Yeah. I don't know. That might have had something
That's
to
the
do with
first
it,
time you
maybe.
saw a live boob.
Yeah,
No
but
lie.
it
That was
was-
the first time you saw a live boob.
I was like, I was like, God bless Lars. What a legend. So
So so with Lars, you're never gonna think he's great.
Yeah.
He's the boob guy.
yeah, he's the boob guy.
He's the boob
and
guy.
then same thing happened with Motley Crue on the not the boob thing, unfortunately, but meeting him. My mom took me to Motley Crue, the Dr. Feelgood tour.
Awesome.
Got to meet Tommy and Vince, and like just continued my just igniting my fire.
Tommy's cool, bro.
Yeah, it was it was amazing. They were like, such rad, and they were on a good one then too, because I think they'd been sober for a while, and they were just absolutely crushing it. So, but yeah, Tommy Lee.
Tommy's a nice
Lars.
guy. I mean, I've hung out with him a few times, but he's like my buddy DJ Arrow used to do a lot with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
he's I don't know, I get along with him. He seems a cool
He's
dude.
one of the
What do you
one
think
the
of him
boys.
drumming wise?
Amazing.
Another.
Such a solid rock drummer, man. Like there's a song called Dry Spell, and the from our Town record, and the chorus of that song, the drum part, I completely lifted from Tommy Lee. So
Awesome.
yeah, just to go on to say how much. But back to how we started the band. So
Yeah.
So go back to the mid to late 90s in a small town called Kona on the west side of the Big Island. And Cleo and Brett had been playing together for like years at this point, maybe for like 4 or 5 years. Cleo taught Brett his first bass line. I think it was Come As You Are, Nirvana. And I started playing drums real early in like the late 80s. And I started playing with a bunch of like older dudes in bands. I was even in a band with my dad at one point.
I saw that online.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
So point being is they wanted to practice all the time, and I was just a little kid. So after a while, we played a bunch of house parties, but they wanted to practice all the time. I just kind of got burnt out. And then I started surfing, and I was like, I just want to surf, man. So I kind of just stopped playing drums. God bless my mom. She kept my drums set up in the living room, and she would give me shit all the
Sick.
time, like, son, you better play those fucking drums. Oh, and my friends would come over and they'd be like, why don't you want to play? Like, oh, I want to try, like, whatever. So we had this rad drum set, double kick, everything, full metal drum set up in the living room that
You're like,
once in a
nah, I'm
while,
surfing.
yeah, I was like, I just want to surf, you know what I mean? Like, just wasn't really into it. So during those times, Cleo and Brett would hit me up a few times, like, oh, we should jam. And I just be like, oh, I'm just not like, it's just that I'm not into playing drums. So
Yeah.
I don't like, I'm going to have to like kindly pass. But, and then in 97 was the year that Brett and I graduated high school. It was a year after Cleo graduated. And like I said, it was when that Sublime record, Stand By Your Van, came out. And we'd all been super hip to Sublime for a few years now, because since the Taylor Steele Momentum videos, and there was the Descendants cover, Hope, that was on Momentum 2. And Sublime just blew my mind, because at first I thought they were a punk rock band. And then I heard 4 Ounces of Freedom, because my buddy from the mainland brought it. And
That was a sick
I heard
record.
Don't Push. And I'm like, stolen from an African land, chased out with a knife, the face like Bob Marley, and a mouth like a motorbike. I'm like, wait, this isn't, but I didn't figure out it was reggae yet. I was like, this is just some different, wow, like crazy. This band's like so multifaceted. I was so blown away. And so anyway, super hip to them. And then the Stand By Your Van album comes out in 98, I think. And that just like got me going, because I heard the crowd. Just felt the energy of those.
And you
live
remember that?
shows.
And you remember that boob?
Yeah,
that homie
yeah, I
signed?
remember the boob.
Remember the
I
boob?
still remember
yeah.
the boob.
Yeah, you're like enlarged at the boob. I'm doing this shit.
So anyway, that just kind of like, I was like, oh man, I think I want to start another band. So I ran into Cleo at a beach party at a beach called Kahalu, and I was like, hey Cleo, we should jam sometime. And he's like, yeah.
About time, brother.
Yeah, he's like, oh, for sure. He's like, dude, we can jam. Brett could play bass. We could jam up at his mom's house in the garage. Like, let's do it. I was like, sick. Let's do it. And then there's this funny story that we've told where I went and jammed, but I hadn't played drums in years at this point.
Oh wow.
So Brett was always telling Kaleo what a killer drummer I was, because there wasn't that many drummers on the island. There's like a few of us.
Right.
And Brett had seen me when I was real young playing with these older bands. So Brett was always like, oh my God, he's the sickest drummer. Like, if we could ever get him, that'd be amazing. So we finally joined forces, went up to Brett's mom's, and I just shit the bed because I hadn't played in so long. Just
shit.
a lot of rust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they told me years later that they were like, after I left, they were like, Cleo's like, are you sure? That guy was a good drummer? And then it was just one of those things.
You left and they were like, he plays like Lars.
Yeah,
no, I'm kidding.
I'll take it, man. I'll take it. But then I knocked the rust off, and second rehearsal, we were kind of like hitting our stride, and they came to me with some originals, and I remember I was like, holy shit, you guys wrote these?
Oh, because you were playing like cover
Yeah, we were
cover
playing
bands?
some 311 songs. We were playing some Real Big Fish. We were playing Beer by Real Big Fish.
The band that you were in with your dad and stuff.
Oh, no, with Cleo guy.
Okay, but the band you were in with your dad was originals.
Yes.
Original stuff.
Yeah,
Okay,
got it. Like full like alternative rock originals, basically.
Got it.
So then when I went to jam with Cleo guys, they showed me these couple like ska tunes that they had written, and I was like, oh shit. And I think that's where my irrational path of passion came about. I was like, oh, let's do this.
Timing, dude. That Sublime record comes out. You're getting hyped up.
Yeah.
You got these songs written. Like, this is got to take the... I tell people all the time, I love that story because I tell people all the time, the opportunities are going to present themselves. It's up to you whether you act on those opportunities or not.
Yeah.
Because there's opportunities all around you if you just pay attention.
Yeah.
And if you so you took advantage of the opportunity, or took the opportunity and said, let's do it.
Yeah, it's all about, like I always say, it's all about making the universe your buddy. And that thing will bend over backwards for you if you're paying attention and you're staying aware and present. Then you're gonna see those directions or those signs or whatever it is you need to grasp onto. Like us forming the band, and then we were waiters. We were all waiters at restaurants back in the Big Island. And one day, Cleo, actually, I remember I came to San Diego right after we started the band and after I graduated, and I remember I saw that old ska band Buck 09 play on the boardwalk of Mission Beach. I was staying at my older friend's house in Mission Beach, and I just got the inkling of like, damn, I wonder how our band would do over here. So I went back to Conan, and I think I brought it up to Cleo guys, but we didn't think anything of it. We were like, oh yeah, that'd be rad someday, like right on. And then we just kept on doing our thing. We made it to the other islands to play some shows, and then one day, about maybe a year and a half after I'd went to the mainland, Cleo and Brett called me up. They're like, hey, we just put in our 2 weeks notice. Let's do it. Let's go to the mainland. Our one girlfriend that we went to school with, that's still one of our best friends, Tiffany Brown, we called her Muff. She had an extra room in Carlsbad.
Oh, sick.
Because she had an apartment. She'd been living there for like a year, had an apartment, and I guess her friend kind of bailed and she had a room open. So we were like, perfect. There was those signs that we took from the universe.
You got it.
We were like, okay, we have this idea. It seems like there is a path forward. So let's do it. So we flew over. In our mind, we just had the Welcome to the Jungle video the whole time of Axl stepping off the bus from Indiana. But it was us stepping off the plane from Kona. We were like...
And flip-flops and shit. Like,
yeah, flip-flops, everything. Not much has changed there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it.
But,
I love it.
So then we went to... Carlsbad. We bought a 1976 Dodge Sportsman off of this lesbian couple in Vista, and we just started to pound the pavement, and we linked up with Volcom through our artist, the guy Ben Bruff that does all the art on all our records, and he was a pro surfer for him at the time, so we hooked up with Ryan Immigart, and they were just starting to kind of like push Volcom Entertainment real big with The Line and CKY and all these bands, but we still were like these like redheaded stepchildren because they were so concentrated on like the rock scene, and we were like doing this fucking upstroke ska and fucking some reggae, and we had a couple punk tunes on our first record, Given It, which we recorded in a coffee shack on the Big Island before we moved over. So that's like was like our record we moved over with, which is insane because I listen to it now and I'm like, Jesus Christ, we really were taking a chance moving over with this fucking thing, which is basically like a glorified demo. But we just stayed.
Dude, bought my mixtape.
Yeah, we just stayed persistent because Immigart was like, you guys can use our copy machines here at the Volcom office, and it was when they were even further down towards like 16th on Monrovia and not at their latest factory, which isn't there anymore. all good things must come to an end. But
I know that's crazy, right?
fucking wild, man.
When we talk about like the industries and stuff, even the fashion industry and the brick and mortar stores and the companies, they're all because people make their own product and sell their own stuff and like. But anyhow,
yeah.
Did you build a fan base in Hawaii beforehand?
Yeah.
Did you guys have like a vibe over there going?
But just in Hawaii, yeah.
Got it.
For sure. We were kind of like, and us leaving.
You were like the local kind of hero dude. Not hero, but local rocker dude.
Yeah, us leaving was a big deal because everyone was like, oh my God, like for a band to become a band and then move to the mainland to try and shoot their shot, it was almost like we'd already made it. You know what I mean? Just
like,
even,
brother, you're good here. Yeah.
Just even that we even got off the island. So, but then back to the fact of building a fan base. So we pound the pavement. We're playing all the Hennessy's you could imagine. We're playing every bar that we could because we had this room for rent that we rented for like $300 a month or something.
Sick.
So we just needed to play like 1 to 2 bar gigs a month, and we could pay our rent, and we could survive off 59-cent bean burritos from Toes and Oceanside, and we could just keep this dream alive.
You're really grinding it.
Yeah.
Really doing it.
So we kept grinding, and like I said, it was more like Volcom Entertainment was paying like a lot of attention to CKY because they were having a moment at the time because that 96 Quite Bitter Beings and all those songs were just crushing. And but we just would show up like weekly at the office printing fly. This was something back in the day that you had to do because there was no social media. We printed physical flyers.
Yep.
We would have like goddamn art class up at Volcom because we'd be cutting letters out and making all these things that looked like ransom letters and shit.
Dude, I love all this shit.
Yeah,
yes,
but they were basically, and then God bless Volcom Entertainment because otherwise we wouldn't be able to afford to go to Kinko's and print these flyers. They let us use their printers. And so we would do all these bar gigs. And then after us just staying persistent, we finally broke resistance, and Volcom ended up getting a deal with MCA, and they invited us to be one of their main artists that would be presented with a contract. And in turn, it meant going on Warped Tour in 2001. But I don't know if you remember, the Volcom stage would always have a stage band.
Yep.
It would be one of the Volcom bands would be required to set up and break down that wooden Volcom stage.
Yes.
So we were like, are you kidding me? Warped Tour? Dude, yeah, we'll do whatever it takes. We would be so honored to be
and
on
that
Warped
was
Tour.
that was a prime time for Warped Tour too.
Dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And that was like all the legends were on. It was like Pennywise was doing their coastal run because you know like how Pennywise they would always skip the Midwest pretty much and just do the coast.
Yeah.
So it was them. It was No Effects. You know, and we got to meet all our heroes that we'd been listening to for the last decade, basically all the Epitaph, all the.
Dude, how
records.
sick was that going from 59-cent burritos to like jamming on Warped Tour?
To going to
it's still a grind though at that level as a band. Just so anyone listening, just so you know, if you got to take up and down the stage, and were you driving yourself or were you on a bus?
We were driving ourselves.
So you're driving yourself and you're selling your own merch. You don't have a merch guy.
We didn't even know you needed merch when we started Warped Tour. First few days we were like, shit. Look at, oh God, I guess we need T-shirts. Like that's how like on the fly we were doing things, and then finally a week into it, I think, so our buddy that had like a small like little like brand or something was like, oh, I could print you guys like a few dozen T-shirts. We're like, please, because everyone's got merch out
They'll
here.
sell
And we don't have it.
Yeah, they'll sell.
So, but that was the gnarliest grind that because we had to be at the venue at 7 a.m. looking for the flatbed truck that had the Volcom stage on it.
Yeah.
And then we had to convince a forklift driver to, hey, will you please grind? And actually before that, we had to look at the plot and be like, okay, that's where the Volcom stage is going. Okay, it's right over there. So we had to convince the forklift driver to grab all the stuff from the stage, and they were paying attention to all the big shit. So it was sometimes a tough sell to get
mission.
these guys.
Yeah, of course.
So to get them to put it over, and then we would have to build this thing and then vice grip it. We would be vice grips. We would send our sound man at the stage, Ramey, my best friend. We would put him on a skateboard because he was a little bit smaller than us. We'd put him on a skateboard like a mechanic and fucking roll him under the stage, and he would do all the vice gripping under. And I remember one show in Arizona, it was like 120 degrees, and Coheed and Cambria was on the Volcom stage because they were just starting their lift off.
Yeah.
But they would have like at least 1,000 people watching him every day because they were kind of blowing up. During the middle of their set in Arizona, the stage starts to split in between Claudio's legs. He's just ripping up there, and I guess like we didn't tighten the vice grip enough or something that morning. The stage literally starts splitting under his name. Immergard, where the fuck is Pepper? get under that stage, tighten the thing up. And like, it was almost an absolute disaster, but we rolled Ramey back onto the stage. She ended up tightening it back up, put the stage back together. And that was that. But then the bummer was we had to miss the barbecue every day because on Warped Tour, there's also a barbecue band that Kevin enlists every year. And after all the bands are done playing, they would fire up this huge barbecue and just cook like hot dogs and burgers for everyone. And it would be the ultimate time to just hang, camaraderie. All the bands would meet each other, shoot the shit. But we could never go because we were busy breaking down the stage and having to get the fucking thing back on this goddamn flatbed. And it was one of those things where we kind of like almost thought that this is what touring was like. And we were like, oh, this is gnarly. Like,
and Warped Tour was gnarly
on its own. If you're not setting up any stage, it's a grind.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're like a big band, like, well, if you're a big band and you have a tour bus and people doing stuff for you, it's not like you got a lot of downtime.
Yeah,
you know?
a lot of downtime.
Yeah, but it's like if you're like you're on the tour like that, like the band what you guys were doing.
Yeah.
Or like even like us athletes, we were like grind. They'd have signing and riding and signing and riding. We were working constantly. It was a grind, bro.
Yeah.
But man, it's so rad hearing this story because it reminds me of like what like people create like a brotherhood and a band around.
Yeah.
And like the loyalty of a band and like, because I admire that because a lot of times people just want to come in and try to get something that's already built or there's, you know what I mean? Or something that's already established and they went the easy route. You guys really fucking grinded it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it was one of those situations
and
where,
you're still here though, because I know bands that have grinded it and they didn't last.
No. And,
you know?
and I wouldn't say we were like close to that, but I know there was a lot of times during that tour where we questioned our life because we were like, this is like so gnarly and like,
and you probably weren't making a lot of money neither.
Oh, I think $100 a day or something, maybe even 50. I don't know, like not really much money at all, just to sustain like gas was cheap back then, so it'd probably sustain our gas
and building that fan base.
Yeah, totally. And then that was the gnarly thing too, is on the Maurice stage, the side stage right next to us, which was an actual stage line. It was actually a real stage. There in 2001 was like Good Charlotte and Sum 41 that were just starting to blow up. They were blowing up. So they were on the side stage, similar to the Alien Ant Farm thing. They did the deal to go on Warped Tour before they really started blowing up, so they were on the side stage the whole time. They didn't give a fuck though. They were just like, we're out here having a blast. Like 3,000 people show up to this side stage every day at least, so fuck, who cares? But when they would play right before us on the Volcom stage, we would do everything aside from kill ourselves to hopefully get people to stay, because there would be 3, 4, seriously, sometimes like 5,000 people. And then Sum 41 would finish, and Pepper would start with 3, 4, dun, 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 and we would just be like, play, but it'd usually be us watching thousands of people just walk by us and go on with their day, and maybe 5 of them would stay. So,
you know what that reminds me of when you said that just now? Have you ever seen that video of Rage Against the Machine when they first started playing and they did a show at, what college was it?
Oh, yeah. I know
it's off the 10. What is it? What college is that off the 10 right there? I don't know. I forgot what college. And then people just walk by, like, oh, what are you going to have for lunch? I don't know. Oh, Ben. Oh, whatever. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like almost playing that like gazebo looking, like rectangular, like gazebo thing.
And totally. Killing in the Name, I think, used to be an intro song. There was no lyrics.
Yeah.
So if you watch the video, it's like Zach just standing there, like, getting hyped up to, like, killing without killing in the Name. I'm pretty sure. And in my head, it's just, so that's what it was like for a lot of bands on Warped Tours like that.
Totally. And that was such a character building summer for us where, you know, like after that, we met a lot of people. I remember actually one story where Kevin Lyman gave us one of the most amazing pieces of, like, I guess advice, for lack of a better term, which came to fruition because we had just put out the Conatown record, and it had Give It Up, the Dirty Hot Sex song, which ended up being huge on K-Rock and pretty much changed our life.
Fucking how cool was that?
It was amazing. But we had this long skit because we love comedy so much, like Eddie Murphy Raw, like all that, like Andrew Dice Clay, like we grew up on all that shit.
Fucking great.
And we loved it. And so we wanted to put a skit in the middle of one of our songs. So in the middle of Give It Up, we stopped the song and put this like long ass skit about a guy walking into his dad having sex with his girlfriend. Hence the "Why You Gotta Sleep With My Dad" line in that Give It Up song.
Okay.
But basically it just derailed the song for like a minute and a half. And I remember Kevin Lyman was like, hey man, I heard that new record you guys made with Steve Kravac produced it because he had done all the MXP. He did like the big MXPX record and stuff at that point. So he kind of was having a moment as a producer, and he agreed to produce our record. So Kevin Lyman caught wind of it when we were on that Warped Tour. He's like, "Oh, it's a great record, man. If you guys would have only not blown it and put that long skit in between one of the best songs in it, then like you probably would have gone a lot further with that song." And we were like, we love that skit. So we were confused. We were like, okay. And then flash forward 2 years later, the skit gets chopped out of it. It gets taken into K-Rock, and Jed the Fish, God rest his soul, that man changed so many people's lives, and we're so grateful for him. But I don't know if you remember, he had Jed the Fish's Fresh Catch of the Day that they would play on every weekday of K-Rock, and he decided to play Give It Up, and it just blew up, and it was like #1 on K-Rock for weeks.
Wow.
And at that, I remember Imagart from Volcom one day, he was like, holy shit, we're selling like 2,500 copies of the record just in LA alone a week. Like he was so stuff started, everything started to pop off, but it was funny that Kevin Lyman, which doesn't surprise me at all. The guy's foresight's amazing, and he's just such an integral part to this whole scene and just the music industry in general. So it's so funny looking back on him saying that, and then unbeknownst to him, years later, that happens, and it totally blows up and goes off the Richter scales. And like what he said back then was the thing that ended up changing our life 2 or 3 years later. And yeah, just
that's awesome. It's almost that Kevin is the best. That's a rad story. It reminds me of that movie when he's like, just drop the. It's just Facebook.
Yeah, dude, totally. The
no, what about the
thing.
Facebook?
Yeah.
No, it's like, no, just Facebook.
Less is more.
Trust me.
Less is more, man. Less is more. So yeah, it's been,
classic fucking story,
yeah,
bro.
it's been and then Give It Up, ending up doing so well on alternative radio. That's what led to 2007 Warped Tour was the first year we were on the main stage. And that was a dream come true, because that's when we really became really good friends with Byron and all the Pennywise guys and Bad Religion guys. And we even would park in their circle of trust, which was their buses, and we got included into that. So our bus, the Bad Religion bus, the Pennywise bus, we would park in this big circle, so we would be able to hang out in there and kind of have our own little like
part
like
of the,
area.
with the boys.
And us three were like, oh, how's it going, Brian Baker? Like, yeah, we've been listening to you our whole life. Like, oh, don't fan out. Don't fan out. Don't fan out. Okay. But it was just amazing that we'd gotten to this point where like we were on the same, and it was cool too. We were on the same stage as your Bad Religions and your Pennywise and your Flogging Mollies. It was like, and all the like the screamo stuff that was kind of blowing up was on the other main stage. So like we were like imposter syndrome to the fucking millionth power. We were like, what are we doing here? I don't know, but we'll take it. And I remember Ronnie from Bad Religion, every day we'd go do signings at our merch booth like most bands would go do it, Warped Tour. And every day on the way out to do our signing, Ronnie, Bad Religion's Forever Sound guy, would look at us. He'd be like, yeah, boys, get out there. Keep these phony baloney jobs alive. And I was just like, that would always stick with me. And then another saying, which was from the Bad Religion camp that year, was, when anyone's talking crazy, just tell them to land the UFO, man. Tell them to land that UFO. It's so good. But yeah, so that was like one of the most amazing summers. And just being,
what did they think back in Hawaii? With the people were like, don't leave, you got it made. And then they see how far you got.
Yeah.
Did you ever stay in touch with any of those people?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We still, I have a nonprofit called the Chipono Foundation, which I help kids and through music and surfing back in
wow.
Kona. So yeah,
what's it called again?
The Chipono Foundation.
Wow.
Yeah, CHEEPONO.
What does that mean?
Well, Pono means like all good, very like righteous, like when everything's Pono, everything's copacetic.
Oh, okay.
Everything's in line. Like you know what I mean? If something's out of line, it's not Pono. Or if someone's being a dick, like that fucking guy is not Pono. You know what I mean?
Okay, I didn't know that.
Like,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
So Pono's, and then chi is just something that over the last 15 years or so, people just when they're real psyched in Hawaii, like chi, like part of chi-hoo.
Oh, like chief.
Yeah, chi. So like putting the chi Pono together is kind of a saying that all like the big Kanaks back in Hawaii just chi Pono. So that
means like, phew, everything's good.
Yeah, everything's super good.
Yeah,
everything's
That's
everything's
super good.
fucking-
Okay, yeah. Mega good.
Yeah, everything stay rad, boy.
Yo, mate. Yeah. Sick on you, mate. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, sick.
So
Why'd I get all Australian all of a sudden?
I remember my buddy bought me a shirt that just said Chipono. So this saying kind of like stuck to me, and people would always be like, "Oh, Chipono, like you should do something with it." And I was like, "It's not. I didn't make it up." So,
I like it, dude.
So I'm not. But I thought the perfect vehicle for it was a nonprofit. So
That's
now,
fucking cool.
yeah,
That's
so now
fucking cool.
I've reopened the music program at our alma mater, at our high school that we graduated from, because the doors weren't even open for like 15 years.
Why do they close it for music and arts and shit at school? It doesn't make
money. The funding is just like
that's what it is, right?
Yeah, for the public
because music and arts, you need that shit.
Yeah, so I ended
more
up
than algebra.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. So I ended
man.
up raising money, buying equipment, buying recording equipment, and then now the main thing that the foundation's doing is we're the main fundraiser behind the Big Island Board Riders Association, which is
awesome.
So yeah, because our good friends of our family, the Zeets, Seabass, who was a pro surfer on the pro tour a few years ago, and his wife, they're the head of the Hawaii or the Hawaii Board Riders, which is the umbrella of all the chapters.
Okay.
And I was just talking to him one day, and he was like, "Yeah, it's weird, man. The Big Island is the only island that doesn't have a chapter." So I'm like, "What the fuck?" So anyway, I went and he explained who would be the perfect kind of person to be the captain. So I was like, oh, wait, I actually know the perfect person. So anyway, we ended up launching the Big Island Board Riders, which is super rad for the community, because we're going to be competing in all the Board Riders competitions. And the goal is to make it to Australia, to the World Championships.
Cool.
So yeah, that's kind of because like at this point, like through all the talk we've talked about the past, it's like, through all this, like I've been so blessed, and I'm just so grateful that now I'm just trying to live a life of service and just try to help others and lift up others, especially coming from the Big Island. I know how it is to think that shit's unattainable and crazy to think that, where like the Chipono Foundation and myself, and I mean all of us in the band, we're here to be like, no, nothing's crazy.
Yeah.
Like you have some crazy passion that you want to follow, fucking follow that shit.
You have to, dude. I mean, and even if you come from like Hawaii to the mainland, or like in my case, the Midwest to the West Coast, it's almost the same kind of journey.
Yeah.
Like it's not like handed to you because you're at the mainland. It's like where you're located in the mainland.
Big time.
You know what I mean? It's like that's so it's like for you to like that's so rad though, dude. That's, and you guys got the record label.
Yeah.
And that's from your dad's band.
Yeah.
Right?
Law Records. So
that was your dad's band called The Law?
Yeah,
correct?
my dad's band was called The Law. This was actually their logo. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
That's sick.
It just had a small "the" on top of here. And they were a glam metal band in the
back in the 80s,
in the early 80s. Like they were like regulars at the country club in Reseda. They would sell that place out all the time. Anthrax was opening up for them.
Bullshit.
And they opened up for Van Halen at Gazard.
Wait. Did Anthrax steal that shit for their song "I Am the Law"?
Who knows?
With Sam Kinison. Have you ever heard that song?
Yes. Yeah.
I Am the Law.
It could, hey.
With their character they had. Remember the character they had? What was it called? I remember this shit because I used to scream like Sam Kinison trying to imitate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that. They stole that shit.
Let's go.
What the fuck, man?
But yeah, so it was. So they were crushing it, and like I said, they were right in the mix of all those early 80s glam metal bands, but then they ended up breaking up. The drummer got arrested for selling cocaine, and it just, all like the cliches.
Oh, wait, did I fuck up just now?
What?
Jeff, can you Google Anthrax? It was I'm the Law. They had I'm the Man.
Oh, yeah, I'm the Man. Yeah.
But I could swear.
There's definitely...
Can you Google Anthrax, I'm the Law, real quick before we get out of here?
Because I'm the Man's the public
They had two different
enemy?
things, though. No, I'm the Man was the one with Sam Kinison.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
But I think he was on both of them. They just sampled his scream because
Okay.
they were buddies. But I'm pretty sure I'm the Law Anthrax.
Nice.
And then they have, then Google I'm the Man Anthrax. Can you Google that real quick? Sorry. I'm the Man Anthrax. There were two different things.
Okay.
They had I'm the Law and I'm the Man.
Yeah.
I'm the Man was a single. I'm almost positive.
You know,
see, I know my shit.
You know, Benante is the reason that I play for Tama, actually.
Really?
Yeah, Charlie. Because
yeah, I'm not talking shit on Anthrax, but I'm saying.
No, yeah, no, not at all.
Come
of
on,
course. But Charlie, just a little fun story was, well, obviously Lars plays Tama. He's always played Tama, so that's why I wanted to
Andy
play Tama.
signs boobs.
Yes.
Yeah, keep going.
Yes,
Yeah.
Always. So forever, I played Tama when I was young, and then kind of like in the mid 2000s, I started playing Pork Pie because they kind of gave me a deal on drums. But then we were on tour with 311 and the Offspring in 2010.
Sick.
And I met a mutual friend of Charlie, and he was like, and Pete from the Offspring at the time was playing Thomas. So I just started talking to the mutual friend. His name was Gary Notley. He was actually on the tour as Dexter's personal barbecue guy.
Oh, wow.
I was like, that's some legendary shit. Fucking Dexter's got a personal barbecue guy.
Fuck,
so
the kids are not all right.
yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
So I started talking to Gary, and I was like, yeah, man, it's my dream to be on Thomas someday. He's like, oh, really? I'm really good friends with Charlie. I'll link you guys up. So he literally just links us up on an email. Charlie's such a kind guy. He's like, oh yeah, no worries. Here's my guy at Tama. Aaron Vishria was the guy at the time. He's like, here's his email.
But I think it's the vibe, bro.
Yeah,
it's your ability and your vibe of who you are. Because I'll do that for some people I like that I just vibe with them. I don't give out shit for everybody.
Yeah,
it's the vibe, bro. You got a good vibe.
Thank you.
All you Hawaiian cats do, bro.
I
like,
appreciate that.
yeah, you guys are always like. What's weird about Hawaii is they'll start calling me uncle and shit after a while.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel weird.
Yeah. Why?
Like,
Does it make you feel old?
No, just like I don't know, like.
Yeah,
I feel like I should do something to earn the title, like uncle. Like, what did I didn't do anything.
That's a sign of respect, though.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what up, Unc?
Yeah,
That's what it is, right?
Yeah, how's it, uncle? It's like usually.
Why is it uncle though?
Like,
Wasn't it like homie or something? I'm not talking shit. I'm just curious.
I think maybe because more the family vibe.
That's what
I
it
mean?
is.
Hawaii's
huh?
all about family, and like it's not just your blood family. It's your family's your ohana, and that's like with us and Pepper.
I like that. That's cool.
Well, with us and Pepper, we call our fans the Pepper Ohana. Because we owe everything to them. We wouldn't be shit if it wasn't.
Fucking, that's cool. You guys realize that.
Oh, fucking 100%.
Some people don't. Trust me, some people do not.
And fuck those people because that is such bullshit. It's like if no one's listening to your music, you're just going to be playing music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the beautiful thing about. Someone pointed this out to me forever ago. How music's so magical. It's the only art form that you can't touch. There's nothing. It's air. It's vibrations in air.
It is.
Where like you think about a painting and you have a finished product.
Yeah.
When you have a finished product of a song, it's literally just like vibrations that exist in the air, and literally it's a drug that changes the way you feel. And
True.
like to be a comma in that story of music is such a beautiful thing. And the reason you are is because of these fans that your music has affected.
Yeah.
And I know this because I'm one of those fans of talk about old Metallica or talk about Bob Marley or you talk about Sublime or anything. They made me feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the best. Yeah. And you can't, it's all categories of music. It's not just one.
No.
It's also, too, it's like this. If you buy all of your followers on Instagram and then you post something, you're only promoting it to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So you got to get people to follow you that genuinely like you, and you have to respect that and appreciate that.
But it's this weird.
And not to be like, oh, I'm annoyed, I was signing autographs.
Yeah.
No, sign the fucking autograph. That's your job, dude.
Like Ronnie from Bad Religion said, keep these phony baloney jobs alive. You have to go respect the people that are making this possible for you. And like, it's just all,
I think it's how you guys were raised too.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, I think about growing up surfing and that guy Boomer I was talking about earlier. Like if you were out of line, he'd kick your ass.
Yeah.
You didn't want to get your ass kicked by this huge Polynesian dude.
Fuck no, I don't. No, I'm good.
So what happens? You start to learn respect. And then through learning respect, you gain respect. And it's like just one of those things where it's like, you know, this whole world, we're all energy, we're all connected. It's like when you're acting like
respect goes a long ways, dude.
Yeah, and it's something that can't be bought, it can't be anything but just earned through character, you know what I mean? So.
It's 100%. And listen, before we get out of here,
Yeah.
I'm going to back up for a second. Tell me about Law Records.
Yeah.
You guys got like
so
it's owned by, is it all Pepper?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's Pepper's label, and we started it in 2003, technically, actually on Warped Tour, because all our favorite bands, aka Bad Religion and NoFX, and even Sublime with Skunk Records, had their own labels. So we were like, oh, what should we? Oh, we could do my dad's band. They actually released their one record that they put out on Law Records.
Sick.
So we were like, we could just use that name and bring it back to life.
Yeah.
So like originally like established in '83 and now reestablished in 2003.
Sick.
And we ended up re-releasing that first record that we recorded in the Coffee Shack, Given It. We re-released that with some bonus songs and took it from Volcom because we were like, oh, we actually own that master. So why don't we just take that and we'll re-release ourselves? But we didn't know what we were doing. and then eventually, like this record.
Yeah, I know you brought that in.
Yeah,
I'm so stoked on
the
this
No
one.
Shame record, which is my gift to you, my brother.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
This will be 20 years old next year.
How do you say it? Chipono?
Chipono.
Chipono right
Chipono.
now. She's super
Alright.
Chipono, bro.
So,
look at it, look at it, look at it.
So
look at it, look at it, look at
that
it.
record's going to be 20 years old, and we made
Keep it
that
on me.
record after the success
Hold
of Give It Up and everything. So that record was put out on Atlantic Records, so it was our first go with a major label, and it did fairly well. Not well for a major label, apparently, because they ended up releasing us after, but there was a clause in our contract, God bless our old management, that said either you need to pay us 6 figures or give us the record back if you let us go. So we said, fuck, we'll take that record back, man.
Yeah, take your record, bro. Yeah.
Like a few zeros ain't gonna last us that long.
No.
Like, let's take that record back. And
After
that
you pay
was
taxes too.
and that,
you know?
yeah, exactly. And that was the impetus to really take our label and make it a real label, because we were like, we have this like solid product now that the like, you know,
DIY, brother.
yeah, and like in the standards of a major record label, it maybe wasn't up to par, but for an independent record label, that album was
This is our
crushing it.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So then
Dude, I love your guys. Check it out one more time
Yeah.
over here. Look, I love their logo.
yeah, that's Ben Bruff did that with watercolor and a straw.
I love
He
it.
drew it with watercolor, and then
And this is on law. So you have a there's a cause I saw you guys recently followed me. I followed you back.
yeah.
So it's just Law Records on the Instagram, right?
yep.
So anyone listening out there.
Yep,
And
at Law Records, all one word.
okay, and then what's your Instagram?
It's just my name. My name's so weird that I got my
Spell
name
it.
on there. So Yesod Williams. It's Yesod Williams.
Are you related to Robin too?
All no, but God, I love that man.
I
God
do
rest
too.
his
I do
soul.
too,
He was
yeah.
such a legend. His whole skit on golf, the invention of golf.
Oh, he's the
is-
best, dude.
Is amazing. I saw recently actually that video of him making the gorilla smile for the first time.
I haven't seen
And
that.
it-
shit.
yeah, it was like back in the 80s. There was like some like gorilla that was like I don't know what the right term would be, but it was like yeah, I guess gorillas get depressed too, man. And he was the first one that would first person it would trust, and he was able to make this thing smile, and it was like he was like tickle. The
What a
gorilla
trip,
wanted to
dude.
And he was like tickling this gorilla, but
Should write a song
just
about
such
it.
it's crazy to think about how that guy lost his life and how much joy he spread in this world, yet he couldn't find it in himself.
A lot of comedians have that problem.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's a crazy like high they get to, and then once you
Some musicians are that way. Some
Yeah.
musicians. I know we got to go here in a second, Jeff. But some musicians, you'll think, oh, this person's this, and then you meet him, you're like, they're different on stage than because I'm dealing with the comedy world a lot. There's a lot of comedians I know that like on stage they're one thing. The second they get off stage, they're not that anymore.
yeah, totally.
Yeah, not that they're like the person. No, they're just not the same.
Yeah.
It's like that's just their act.
Yeah, which
It's
is
hard to be the act on and off like a Burt Kreischer. He's like I think he's the same dude on and off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some
Yeah.
people are that way. Some people cover it up like Robin Williams. Maybe he's depressed, but he wants to take that depression off of him.
right, totally.
And-
Which is interesting because you talk about Sam Kinison, and my mom actually used to sell Sam Kinison weed on the Big Island. He would come to the Big Island all the time in the 80s, and we would meet him at this one sushi spot. There was one sushi spot.
Did you ever meet him?
Oh yeah, a bunch of times. Yeah, I would go, and he was the nicest, sweetest. Like he was, like you're saying, back to the fact of them being different on stage and off. Like he was so not crazy and the sweetest.
Yeah, because you're entertaining.
Dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he was an amazing dude, and he was super kind to me all the time, and yeah, another great one that we lost way too early, man.
Well, let's do life. I will say is super short. You're doing rad stuff.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked you're here. Thanks a lot for this. I appreciate this, man. I do.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna post this on my gram.
Yeah,
I just got a record player from Monster.
Oh, perfect
They did a
timing.
collab, and I'm gonna do a post with this.
Perfect timing,
I
dude.
say, hey man, check this out. Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Like,
dude. Anyone out there, follow Yesod,
Yeah.
follow Pepper,
And
follow
then-
Law Records.
Yeah, Pepper's Pepper Live. It's
Pepper Live.
at Pepper Live on Instagram.
And you guys got shows coming up, or anything?
yeah,
You're always
yeah,
playing, right?
Yeah, we got a whole East Coast tour that's starting in a couple weeks. We start in Vegas on the 6th. We play the Cali Vibes Fest on the 8th, and then we head out to Florida and kind of we're playing Nantucket for the first time.
What are the dates of the
So,
tour, real quick? Just so-
It starts on June 6th. And it ends in Minneapolis on June 29th, I believe.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
get this show out pretty quick
Yeah.
for you, so we could promote that for you.
Sick, yeah.
Cool.
Pepperlive.com, all the info on there. And dude, like I said, much appreciation for having me,
Respect,
brother.
brother.
Yes, sir.
Hey, everyone, thanks a lot for watching. Get Pepper, all right? Straight up. Play it loud and stay rad.
Everybody ready? Come on, let's go.
The Rick Thorne Show!